Good morning.
Good morning and happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. You're in a new place today.
I am in a new place today. I am at my daughter's house. Had an impromptu supervision that had to happen Friday. Got to come down to where she lives and observe state track. We got second in this, or state tennis. It was because of track that I was here, but we got second in the state.
That's fantastic. That's awesome.
Yeah, they did a great job. So I'm sitting in her house, in her kitchen, her newly designed kitchen. Although I'm not going to show you because there's still some boxes because they just got their countertop yesterday. So
That's fun.
it is, yeah.
Yeah, busy week here. We had 8th grade graduation for my 8th graders. Always bittersweet, right? And then we had our staff institute day yesterday, where one of my team partners is retiring. So that was very emotional. And I don't know how I feel about it right now. I'm not okay about it. I really don't have any control over it either.
I know.
And then T's graduating. For any people who are watching that have been here since Idea Flood or before, or, Doodle and Chat, my oldest T is graduating from high school today. Crazy.
It is crazy. It doesn't seem possible.
No.
It doesn't seem possible.
But it is.
And then Annabeth is moving into her senior year, correct?
That is correct. I didn't even think about that. You're right. Annabeth is going to be a senior next year. Yeah. Wow. Are you ready for that, Annabeth?
Nope. Nope. Nope.
We will get there because we have no choice, actually,
No, I mean, yeah, they don't ask us about that. They're like, hey, would you like to put this off a little bit? No, they don't ask.
I mean, time just keeps moving.
It does. It does. I know last week, my last one, I think I mentioned, turned 21. And I was like, I would have liked that not to happen. But it did. So. Well, I don't know about you, but I have been looking forward to this all week.
Well, and we've been talking about her, having her on as a friend. And she doesn't know this, but now she does for a very long time. I'm like, we should ask her. Should we ask her? I don't know. Should we ask her? And then so finally we're like, let's ask her.
And then we did. And so first of all, I'm just excited about the connection that she is from my home state. Mm-hmm. I don't know how I didn't know that, but as we were doing the research, I was like, how cool is that? So let me introduce her so we can just get her on. Our guest today, like I said, was originally from Kansas City, Missouri, which is less than an hour from me. She's currently a doctoral student at the University of Buffalo, researching early childhood and elementary Black history and curriculum development. So prior to her move to Buffalo, she taught all elementary grades in Columbia, Missouri, with kindergarten being her favorite. And those are some of my favorite stories to read in our research.
Yes.
She had a passion for she has, I don't know why I said had, she has a passion for teaching Black history year-round and is the author of Beyond February, Teaching Black History Any Day, Every Day, and All Year Long, K-3. I am so excited to doodle and chat all about Downavyn James today.
Hello.
Good morning. Hey. I don't know if you're a hugger, but I just want to grab you and just hug you. I am
a hugger.
Someday. Yes. I've been a fan and just an admirer and also a learner of yours from you for a very long time. And we're just so giddy.
I am too. I'm so excited, y'all. I'm so excited
that you are here with us today. So, before we dive into conversation and such, I know you've been doing your research, but so have we. So we have the bull that knows here with us, and we call it the bull that knows because it always gives us just the right questions for each friend that's on here with us. And we're going to pull from the bull that knows, and actually Annabeth is, and we're going to ask you questions all about you that are very special for you, as well as a couple random ones that are in here that even Mandi and I don't even know. And we're going to doodle and chat all about you today.
Okay.
All right. So you said you brought your crayons, your markers, your pens. What are you using?
I'm using color pencils, some Colors of the World crayons, and I have a pencil and permanent marker.
Nice.
Yes.
All right, Annabeth's going to turn on my camera and Mandi's.
And Annabeth, be ready to mute mine.
It's all good.
Oh, good.
Already.
Good, good.
Are we ready? I'm so excited.
Yeah, I already pulled one. I got too excited before turning on the cameras. Forgot that they need to see you guys. It's like ready to pull.
Here we go.
When learning that you would have a deaf student in your class, you shared that your thought was to do things differently to support this student's development. Why? And how did that experience change your teaching?
Oh wow, that's such a beautiful question. When I was in my undergrad program, I was just kind of taught to believe that I wouldn't have to teach students who were deaf or hard of hearing. Like someone else would teach them, like they would be in a special education classroom. So knowing that I would have a student who was deaf or hard of hearing in my classroom, I just knew that I needed new skills to teach them. And then also I wanted my other students to be a part of that as well. I didn't want to just solely rely on the sign language interpreter or the students' parents because that's not fair for them. I'm the teacher. So I just knew that like the classroom decorations that I would have up, how I taught the alphabet and sounds would be different. And it changed my teaching because it helped me to be a better communicator with all of my students. Learning sign language from the sign language interpreter and then also my student, I just learned how to better, I guess, give directions. And so instead of saying like a negative term first, saying like, okay, this is what you're going to do, but we have to do this first. So it was just a better way for me to communicate with all of my students. And I also learned and got to see how me teaching sign language and then also having a deaf and hard of hearing teacher come into our classroom as well each week helped my other students' language and literacy development. Like it was so fascinating. Like I had students who would not verbally tell me like letters and sounds, but could like sign it. And unfortunately, like our district didn't like assess that, but I thought it was fascinating, like just changing one thing or adding this one language or form of communication was really exciting. But I learned a lot from them and the sign language interpreter. And it was a really cool experience to have in my classroom.
I love it. So as I was researching you, because I had known for a long time that sign language was part of your teaching when you were teaching your kindergarten classes. And I wondered the background of why. I'm like, I understood a lot of other things why you're using picture books and things like that. But the sign language thing, I'm like, where did that come from? I'm like, Did she grow up with somebody that was deaf or whatnot? And so I went on a search to find out the root of it all. Thank you, internet.
Yes, that's
and also just a really well-written article too about that. I'll have to link that in the notes, the article that you wrote. Did you write that with the deaf teacher?
So I actually wrote it with her name is Dr. Brienne Pitts, and she had a student in her class, I believe, that was researching like picture books to read that centered children who were deaf or hard of hearing. And so she was looking for resources, and so was her student to like help her student with this project. And I just shared like how much literacy development we had in our classroom and just the communication between myself and the student and then the student and the student. So like, we were all signing, and it was just really cool. And it was a natural part of our classroom. Like even when other adults would enter the classroom and say like, good morning, my other students would be like, you have to sign that, because not everyone in here can listen with their ears. So even our classroom expectations changed because they're like, well, you can listen with your ears, but some of us listen with our eyes. And I was like, absolutely. So it was just really fascinating to see how they took on that advocacy as well, because they knew that we were assigning classroom as well.
Yeah, and it once it all started to come full circle, because I mean, Mandi and I, we draw, we love visuals, and we know that those are incredible assets in the classroom for all learners. But then when I was reading the article about using the sign language in the class, I'm like, well, duh. I'm like, we do it with babies because they don't have all the language skills, and you're going to get a wide variety of kindergartners with a vast variety of background coming in, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So like, why not make it completely accessible with visual language, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, we had the emotions, the letter, everything. Yeah, it
Love
was
it.
so cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So smart. What a happy accident.
Yes, absolutely.
Just give me a second. I just need to channel a little bit of what we talked about. Are you ready, Mandi?
Whenever you are.
Why
I
don't you
was
pull out the sign language letter? What is that?
sorry.
What letter is that? L?
I'm hoping it's D.
It is D.
Okay.
Yes.
That's amazing.
I'm proud of you. I love that.
Thank you. That was what I was going for. So
You are just so clever.
thanks.
I love it. All right, let's keep going. I'm just going to let that sit. It'll come back.
Okay, doke.
Okay, doke.
That's 2 questions.
What did I do this time on the question?
I don't know.
Let me see. Oh, yeah. Yes. Just read it. Just read it with the cadence of the
I
commas.
can't read it with the cadence of the commas.
I'll read it.
You
Fine.
put too many commas.
Downavyn will. I did not. I gave it emphasis.
Too many emphases.
Just wait. With a wink, a wave of a peace sign, and a leg lift flip, you share your teacher. See, she knows even before I get into it. Your teacher drip, your PhD drip, and now your professor drip. What is the key to a great teacher drip?
Oh, that's a good question.
You didn't put PhD.
I did. It's PH.
That's why I was confused. Well, then
You're just mad you didn't get to read it like I did.
you put too many commas everywhere.
It's definitely personality and authenticity.
Oh, I love it.
I just like remember thinking like I had to wear like slacks and a button up when I became a teacher. And I remember one of my professors was like, well, you always have to look better than your host teacher. Like you need to show up when you enter these classrooms and observe and student teach and all that. And so I just love like bringing myself into my outfits and my personality and the things that I wear, how they stand out. And it also became a conversation starter with my students as well, as a way to build community, you know, them, oh, what are those buttons on your jacket mean? Or I have a shirt like that, or I like your shoes. I have sparkly shoes. And so sometimes we would accidentally match, which was really cool in my classroom as well. But yeah, I think it's definitely just being yourself and not trying to be like anybody else. And where would you want to wear? Where would makes you comfortable? You know, where was cute? I think.
I agree. I do like the new direction that education has gone from, you know, this really specific way that we're supposed to dress to where was comfortable, where was you, express yourself.
Yeah,
It's definitely empowering, you know.
absolutely. I love to see it. I feel like it helps build the confidence of your students as well, because they can see that they can dress how they want and be who they want to be, and you know, show up to school authentically as well.
Agreed.
So this was my first year in a new role. So surprisingly, like as a teacher, I still dress professionally. I am an older educator. And that's just what we were told to do. You just, you know, they won't know that you're the teacher if you don't dress that thing. And so they're wrong, by the way. That's not the case. Wear what you want. I agree with you 100%. So in my new district, the dress code's a little bit more lax, and now I'm an administrator. And I started off really like wanting to be sharp and professional all the time, wearing dress shoes. And I quickly realized when you're walking 8,000 to 10,000 steps a day, dress shoes are not the place. And so now I wear, you know, nice slacks, nice shirt, but I always wear tennis shoes with it.
Yes.
And no apologies for it. Now, if we have a meeting or something outside of the district, I will wear dress shoes.
Yeah.
I always have my tennis shoes in my bag. So as soon as we get back to the school, I can do that. And I think we just need to normalize that. It's okay to wear tennis shoes with your dress clothes. Like that's what my job calls for.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you never know what's going to happen.
That is right. There have been days I've had to run.
Yes, me too.
I've had to run. So,
Yes, you got to go after some. Yes,
that's right. That's
I was
right.
going to say, I wore dress shoes to school until the day I had to chase after a child. And that was the last day I wore dress shoes.
Yes.
Absolutely. You never know what's going to happen. You always have to be prepared.
That's right. That's right. You're giving me this stare. Why are you doing that?
I'm not doing nothing.
All right, I'm ready if you are.
I love that
Is
question.
Mandi ready?
I'm ready. I'm ready. My camera's
Everyone's got to be ready, Mom.
Okay, thanks. You're really bossy this morning. You must have gotten a lot of sleep.
I did.
Okay, yay.
sassy business right there.
Yes.
Fell asleep really early. During your PBS,
SoCal.
this is C, Mom.
So S-O.
You did not put S-O.
Did I put CoCal?
You just put
I even proofread these so you didn't mess them up this time. Oh, is this okay? It's supposed to be SoCal. Welcome to Doodle and Chat, Donovan. Okay, now you got it. You can do it. Be nice to me. You're supposed to be able to fill in the blanks, kid. Go.
During your previous SoCal webinar celebrating Black History year-round, you shared, start with Black innovation, joy, and pride. Go beyond civil rights and slavery. Should not be children's first introduction to Black people. Why is this important for educators to embrace?
Oh, good question. I think it's important because that's very traumatic to your first, even if you have no experience with Black people, or your family doesn't, to know oh well, Black people were enslaved, that's and you're always thinking that that's how I learned about Martin Luther King Jr. and I learned about enslavement, and it's kind of so that's it, we marched and we were enslaved. So I think it's important for us to kind of move outside of that. And even with examining standards, a lot of elementary students aren't even engaging in conversations about enslavement yet. So I think we should hold on to that and talk about other ways to highlight Black people, talk about, other things that Black people have done before students get into that. Because I believe in Missouri, they don't really get into it until middle school. So why not set this really cool foundation where they know, about the innovation and the brilliance and the creativity. So then when we get to middle school, then, they can learn about that. But they have this positive insight on Blackness and on Black people, instead of this idea that they were enslaved, and that's kind of the narrative they kind of run with. So I think that's really important. And I hope the elementary teachers specifically hold on to that. And there's so many resources too, to help us to teach outside of enslavement.
Agreed. I love that. And I teach middle school, and I even think that we as middle school teachers could do a better job of embracing and sharing, innovation, joy, and pride, even with, the history that we have to share with students. We need to not forget about the other side of it's not like this, yes, it was a dark time, and it was, unfortunate, or it was bad that it happened, but that's not the only thing that we need to learn about.
Yep.
I love, the more I read about your teachings and what you share, the other thing that I really loved embracing was that we need to start knowing the whole narrative and all the sides of the person. Like when you talk about Martin Luther King and knowing that he's a father, it just also makes it it makes people in general just way more approachable and easier to understand. And it just makes us better able to communicate with each other if we see each other as people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when teachers educate themselves on different Black histories, then they can talk about those different things. You can talk about enslavement, also refusal and resistance. We can talk about all of it, together. But I think teachers have to do a little bit more self-education too, so that they do. Because I was teaching a social studies course, and one of my students asked, like, well, why is it when we say Black history, educators automatically think like, oh, I got to talk about slavery? Like, you know, like, why is that the feel like, oh, well, I can't talk about Black history because I got, like, no, you don't have to start with that. Like, you may have to teach it, but you don't have to start there. So I think it's important. And that's why I think too, it's important to look at Black history across content, so that you don't have to only focus on it in social studies. Like, how could you bring it into literacy and math and science? And I think that's what can help teachers kind of rethink what Black history has to sound or look or feel like in their classrooms and within themselves, so they don't have to feel like they only have to teach one thing.
So now you've got me thinking, so what are some of the ways that you've shared, if you have, about even using it in math class? Is it talking about Black mathematicians and things like that when you're bringing in concepts?
Absolutely. So I've done it through math, like mathematicians of the day. I start with my students first. So each of them is a mathematician of the day. So we start in our classroom, and like our mathematician of the day, like, helps us with our like problem that we have, like in the beginning of, like, I always do like what doesn't belong. And so like they would be the people that facilitated that or helped to get math materials like dry erase boards. So those were our mathematicians of the day. And then I would expand beyond that and start with Black mathematicians. And so I remember, I don't remember who the first person I introduced to them, but my students were looking around and one of them was like, he's not in our classroom. And I was like, well, we're expanding outside of just us. They were kind of like, wait, there's other mathematicians besides, like, yes.
I love that. I love
y'all. Like, there are other people. They're like, oh. And so I tried to find people where they could make like connections with them, like looking at Black people who have created like video games or who play football and love math, so they can make, these connections, having Black women thinking about children. So I did it that way, definitely, in math. And then one of my favorite activities to talk about is learning about George Crumb and the invention of the potato chip in upstate New York, and graphing, what our favorite potato chips is. And we did like a taste testing, but also bringing in like science. And we also brought in literacy because they had to write an opinion piece about it. So like really thinking about how we can go outside of keeping Black history contained in like social studies and expanding out into other content areas. But yeah, doing like a mathematician of the day was my absolute favorite way to do it.
I like that a lot.
I did something similar in my class because I taught math for a very long time, and I loved to highlight. And this is exactly how I said it. Mathematicians are not just old white guys.
Yes. Yep.
And we need to stop thinking that mathematicians are just old white guys.
Yep.
And so we talked about a lot of different types of people that were mathematicians and what they added to the field of mathematics. Now, I will have to tell you that I was always very partial to female mathematicians. And so I had to really watch myself that I wasn't just showing them all of the female mathematicians. But yeah, there's a lot that you can share. You bet.
Yeah, it's the same with science too. Like, they always draw, because like the first day, same thing with math, but science, like, oh, draw a scientist, and it's white spiky hair, he's holding a flag, like, yes. And I'm like, well, let's learn about some other scientists because you're a scientist, but there's also other people who contributed to the field of science as well. So yeah, it's the same kind of narrative that they think about.
Did I spell everything right this time?
Well, it's a random question, so at least it's not like a poem again. What's the hardest / easiest thing about being an adult?
Oh, the hardest thing about being an adult is paying bills.
Yes.
I don't like I feel like my money could go elsewhere. I don't want to have to pay to live here, to have my lights on. Definitely that. And I also don't like having to deal with car issues. Like I get so much anxiety when I have to like get an oil change or a flat tire. So that's definitely hard for me. The easiest thing about being an adult, I think it's that you can continue to redefine yourself. Now, so for some people that may be like difficult, but I love like knowing that I can like keep rediscovering like who Downavyn is and what she likes and what she doesn't like and where she feels safe, where she doesn't, like getting to decide like who I am and who I want to be around and who I don't want to be around. I think that's a really cool thing about being an adult. Like no one gets to tell you who you have to be. Like you get to decide as well. And I tried to bring that into my classroom as well, even with my kindergartners. Like you get to be who you want to be. Like nobody gets to tell you like if you're cool or not. Like if you think you're cool, you're cool. And you know, so I definitely try to bring that aspect into that. But I like that freedom to get to be Downavyn the way that Downavyn wants to be Downavyn.
Hold on a second. Hold on. I need to embrace the Downavyn.
Embrace the Downavyn. I love that. I'm gonna start telling people that. You need to embrace the Downavyn right now.
Listen, yeah, you're wrong. You need to listen. You need to embrace the Downavyn.
Yeah, I love that.
All right, go ahead. You're so bossy today.
So are you.
I'm not bossier than you are.
You're bossy. Okay. What are 3 timeless strategies and or mindsets beyond February teaching Black history any day, every day, and all year long shares that any educator in all classrooms can benefit from?
Oh, that's such a good one. 3. 3 is my favorite number.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, I love 3. 3 timeless strategies. The first one is read a book. Books can teach, though like a lot of the picture books are geared towards children. I believe adults learning from picture books is a strategy that anybody can use because they're so well done, especially those who like center like a history or like a historical event or a person, like a biography. A lot of them are so well done and have so much rich information in them that you can learn about like the focal point of the book, but also, other things because the author and illustrator have done their research, which is really fascinating. The second is bringing in primary sources. I think is something any teacher can do. Like even something as simple as a photograph, like we look at images all the time. So bringing something like that into the classroom to teach a concept or to support something you're teaching, I think is timeless. And the last thing would be to trust your children in your classroom. Like I don't remember which chapter I wrote that in, but definitely trusting the kids will take you far. I believe as an educator, I think so often we get so caught up in like I'm the teacher, I'm the boss, like. But kids have so much knowledge that they bring and insight, and there have been plenty of time where I let my students guide a lesson or an activity because I trust them in what they want to learn and what they've learned and how they want to implement it into something else. Like thinking about how we learned about the Children's Crusade in Birmingham, Alabama, and how they took that connection and wanted to do their own protest about bees. Like if I hadn't trusted them, they wouldn't have had that experience. Like if I hadn't listened to them. So I think those are 3 really timeless things from beyond February that any teacher can use.
I love that. So speaking of beyond February, because it does have it does say in the title that it's K3. which I, argue that even if it's K3, many of our other older students often sometimes land in that area as well, in terms of just knowledge and things like that. Is there, was there intention with that, or is that just your area of expertise, or are you thinking of writing more books with different ranges?
No, it was just the idea of the publisher just thinking about my experience with like early childhood and early elementary education. A lot of my examples are that early elementary. So thinking about that, but those ideas definitely expand beyond, third grade. It was just kind of a way to like pinpoint an audience really. But I've heard like from middle school teachers in California that they've been able to use strategies in there without even having to change anything. Like they've been able to just implement ideas and practices in their classroom. So yeah, that was the idea behind that. I'm not planning on writing any more books right now. I gotta go to school. Maybe one day, but I don't know.
Gotta go to school and get that done.
Yeah, writing a book is hard.
It is.
Yeah,
it is hard.
It's like putting your heart out for everybody to judge. And
I didn't want to. Like, I was so scared. I remember my editor was like, if you don't tell people about it, they're not going to buy it. Like, and I'm like, I just don't want, I don't want to tell anybody. Like, I wanted to keep it a secret for so long. And she's like, Downavyn, you have to promote the book. And I'm like, okay, fine. But yeah, it is like that, like putting your heart out there and your ideas for everyone to kind of look into your brain. It's kind of creepy, but
yeah. And then in some ways you're calling yourself an expert. I find that as an author to be exceptionally challenged. Like not that I ever, but I'm like, not that I ever think that drawing is wrong, but there's just like this little creepy voice in your head that's like, what if you're wrong? And I'm sure that, okay, good. So, but it's like, what if you're wrong? What if you're telling educators the wrong thing? I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to destroy lives forever.
Yes. Like, what if they don't like it? What if it doesn't work in their classroom? They're like, I don't know.
But I really love it. And I know I'm right.
Yeah, I am right. Yes. Yes. There's that voice too. Like, you are right. You have to tell them.
Yes. Yeah. It's definitely, that little voice needs to just go away.
Yes, it does. Forever.
Yeah. Yes. I lost my train of thought. Oh, picture books. So I teach 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. I teach a combined special ed class and grade levels. And I've been to several conference sessions where picture books have been shared, mostly, focusing towards the elementary level. But I'm kind of on a mission next year where I'm going to find a way to bring picture books into my classroom. And even like my 8th grade boys, they're going to pick them up and we're going to find a way to at least let them explore them. And then someday when they're ready, the idea will connect with them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just, having them available is powerful in itself so they can see. And there's so many books that I had to read over days because they're so long. Because some of the picture books have a lot of words in it, which I think are perfect for upper grades too, to kind of explore with and learn from. And then there's some picture books that are just really fun and funny, and all kids should have their hands on them.
Agreed. The authors that are sharing their stories and their ideas and their imaginations are just they're just more and more talented, right?
Yeah.
And I think the thing that I'm excited to use picture books in my classroom for is, first of all, like literally not judging a book by its cover.
Yeah.
That picture books aren't for just little guys. And then also just for my kiddos, it probably will be finding the theme, finding that higher level inferencing thing, which is really tough for, my students that struggle with comprehension. But I'm excited for it to do it to use those in a different way.
I like that idea. That's really cool.
I'll let you know.
Because there's so many books too where you can kind of like what I wrote about, like read between the lines of, and I think older students would do a really good job of like, oh, now I see why the author illustrator might have included that or not included that. Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So I have used, I taught high school math, and I have used picture books in my high school math class. Like we read Circumference, which was one of our favorites. But even with high school students, like if you say, hey, I'm going to read you a book today, they love it. So it doesn't matter what grade level you're in. I mean, it's a great way just to get attention. And then I would extend that project. And I had my kids write their own picture books.
Cool.
Oh, I didn't think about that. I love that.
And so, because in my, that was one of the unique things about my math classroom when I was there, we did a lot of writing and a lot of storytelling with a math spin on it, because that's exactly what the picture books were that we used in the class. And those are some of my favorite projects. Those are some of my students' favorite projects, was incorporating stories into our math classes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, when I teach now at the higher education level, I start the first class with a book. And then at the end of the year, when they write their reflections, they're like, I just was not expecting you to read a book. Like, I start the first day with a book. I might read some books in between, and then I read a book at the last day. But I read Crown by Derek Barnes on the first day, and I asked them, like, why would I read this book to you? And they're like, oh, I didn't think about that. I'm like, you want to be a teacher? Like, why would I read this book on the first day? And so it was just really cool. But yeah, even then, like, they get really quiet and they're like, oh, she's reading a picture book, like, but they're listening. So, and it's memorable for them too. So yeah, no matter how old you are.
I love that approach of just reading it and then asking them why. I'm going to steal that. I love that.
Yeah, our superintendent, the first meeting that all of the administrators got together, he opened with a picture book this year.
I love that.
Yep, he did.
And what did he say when did he just start reading it, Mandi?
He just said he said, I have a message that I want to share with you, but he said, instead of using my own words, I'm going to let this author share it the way that they shared it in their book.
I like that too.
And then he read it to us. And then he gave us an opportunity then to talk about, like, what did those words mean to us? And then he shared what those words had meant to him and the message, just to make sure that we got the message that he was wanting us to get. But we did. I mean, it was a great book. I wrote it down. I would have to go look at it again. But it was about caring for people. Everybody's different, but we can care for people the same way and support people wherever they're at. I mean, that was basically but it was a children's book.
Right.
Yeah. And it was really good.
Well, I just love the honesty. Like, I want to share it, but it would sound better coming from this book, which is what I try to, like, get teachers. Like, you don't have to teach the Black history. Like, let the book has the word. Like, just read the book and it'll get I love that. I love that.
Yeah, let the book do the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
And then the kids will lean into the rest for us.
Yes, because they'll interrupt you about it and get up and want to touch the book. Yeah, let the book do it.
Yep, I love that. I'm so excited for next year now. I'm thinking all this stuff. All right. Did you pull it already? Have you been waiting this long?
No.
Okay.
Oh, I'm about to say so sorry.
No. This is how it goes.
No, this is how it should be. This is flowing exactly like it should.
Good.
Why are kindergartners underestimated?
Oh, because they're so little. I think it's because they're little. Like, they're so young. They're 5. Like, I know, like, we had this social studies project where they had to create a timeline of their lives, and I was like, you are 5. Or they like to say, oh, when I was little. I'm like, you're still little. But I think it's because they're little. They've only been on the earth for 5 or 6 years. I think that's why they're underestimated. And I think just adults or teachers just don't think that they know a lot because they haven't lived very long. But in my experience, like, they know so much and they have so many, like, really cool ideas and a fascinating outlook on life. And I also just love how they ask questions unapologetically. Like, they're not afraid to question things or wonder things. But I think it's because they're so young that they're underestimated. People think they can't handle hearing things or talking about things or seeing things. But that's definitely not true. I did a PD with a friend, Aaron, earlier this year, and I told them that my students and I had read Unspeakable, the Tulsa Race Massacre, and one of our reflections from a teacher was like, well, I don't think that I could read that book that Downavyn mentioned because it had the word massacre in it. And I'm like, but I just showed you like 5 million examples of how you can do it. But I think it's just like certain words and ideas that adults think are scary, they think are scary for kids. And that's not always true. It's just all about how you approach it. But yeah, kindergartners are cool, but they're definitely young, which is why I think they're a little underestimated humans.
Are you ready, Mandi?
Yep.
All right, Emma.
Got another random one.
All right, here we go.
What food do you love that a lot of people might find a little odd?
Oh, I don't know. I think I eat pretty non-odd things. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if people find this odd, but my parents met in Japan, and so like we used to eat a lot of kimchi, which is like pickled cabbage, which some people might think that's odd, but I think it's great. And the way my mama taught me how to eat it with like so amazing. That's the only thing that I could think of that people might think is odd. That's a good question.
So do you still eat kimchi?
Yeah, if I like go to a restaurant and see that it's there, like I'll order it and I'll eat it. And my mom usually keeps a jar in her refrigerator, so because she eats it all the time.
I don't think I've ever had it.
Yeah, it's really good.
What is it? It's pickled what?
Cabbage.
Oh, okay. I would like it. I like cabbage.
It's fermented, right? It's fermented cabbage.
I think so. Yeah.
It's not just pickled cabbage, it's like fermented, which gives it a very unique flavor. I personally am not a huge kimchi fan. I have tried it. It's actually really, really good for you. Any of those fermented foods, those are things that people suggest that you eat. It's really healthy. Cabbage is good for you. It has a lot of vitamins, and then when the fermentation process hits, that creates even more healthy benefits for your body. So good for your mom. Kimchi is good.
Yeah. It is good. Tastes good.
It does have a strong smell.
It does have a strong smell. She said she ate so much that it was coming out of her pores.
Oh no.
But it is a very strong smell.
I love that. I'm always interested when that random question comes up because you never know what other people have tried and or what people think would be unusual. And the reason I say that is because like I also eat very plainly. Like I probably wouldn't have an answer to that question either. But my grandmother, like she used to put sugar on her cottage cheese. And I just always, when I think that question, I always think of my grandmother and that sugar on the cottage cheese. And I'm like, so weird. Why would you do that?
I used to put ketchup on my mac and cheese.
Oh, I have a cousin that does that. I'm
Yeah.
like, that is a very interesting choice.
And I still love dipping, like if I'm out at like a diner, I'll order a grilled cheese with ketchup and fries and dip that grilled cheese, Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know where that came from.
I mean, we dip it in tomato soup, so it's not different.
Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, tomato soup is hot ketchup. My grandpa used to eat that. And my mom made it once. I was like, girl, this is hot ketchup.
It really is. You're right.
She did.
I love that.
Maybe that's why we have to add so much rice to it to get it down, right? Because it really is just hot ketchup.
She made that, and I was like, I'm sorry, girl. I can't. You're feeding me and my brother hot ketchup.
Don't try to shine it up with the name soup.
Yeah, right. Just call it grilled cheese and hot ketchup.
That's gross.
I love
run out
it.
of ketchup, you can just use tomato soup.
Yeah, if you like it warm.
I will never look at tomato soup again the same way.
Neither will I.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Like, don't hear me wrong. This makes my heart happy forever. That's gonna be hot ketchup.
Yes.
All right, I'm ready.
Me too. Here we go.
Oh my gosh, new record.
What do you mean a new record?
Look, look how much we got through.
I know. It's been good stuff though.
Mm-hmm.
You have said the moon I'm orbiting right now is one of the biggest and currently my favorite. This moon is also the farthest moon from my mama. As your first favorite and best teacher, what makes your mom so special?
Oh,
I was hoping we would get this question.
Yes. My mom, I don't know. I just posted something today. Someone wrote, my mom claps the loudest, so I never notice who's not clapping for me. And so I think about that. Like, she's just so like encouraging, and like I also like how she knows me in a way that sometimes like I don't know myself. Like I don't recognize things. Like so that's really cool. But I don't know, like she's so hard to describe. Like I know she's my mom, but she's like really good listener, and tells me what to do without telling me what to do because I don't like being told what to do. So she's really, I mean, that's probably a mom thing, but like she's really good at it. And so then eventually I do it and I'm like, oh, this is really what she told me to do. But she's like so creative with how she tells me how to do things. And I just love how she's willing to go above and beyond for me. I know she'd do the same for my brother, but you know, it's me. I'm the favorite. And so I think, yeah, that and just how much like she cares and loves for people. Like she would give anybody like her last dollar. Like she's just so selfless and caring, and I think a very true definition of love is what makes my mom so cool. She was just here last week in Buffalo, which was really amazing to spend time with her too. So yeah, that's a really good question. I love my mama.
I can do it. Let's do another one. Yeah,
One more?
One-ish. Let's see.
One-ish.
One-ish. Let's see.
You have been a kindergartner teacher, then a PhD student, and now a professor. What is one thing about each of those that would surprise people?
Ooh. It's all I would say organized chaos. It's just like
You're right.
it's all about like how you navigate the space, because it's all very chaotic to do all that. But it's all how you navigate yourself within the chaos, and it's all about just really being organized, and for me just remembering like why I do it. Like I do all of these things, you know, for a reason. But I think if I hadn't been a kindergarten teacher first, some of this would have been difficult, because like teaching kindergarten can be, again, very chaotic. But I had to learn how to like be organized and how to be strategic and how to manage, you know, 20 little children, you know, 5 days a week for 8 hours a day. And so I think if I hadn't had that experience and learned a lot about myself then being a doctoral student and now like teaching adults would be a little difficult. But it's all just about living in this organized chaos. And sometimes college students aren't as hard to teach as people think. I think I still use a lot of the strategies that I use as a kindergarten teacher to teach them as well. Just being open and honest and letting them talk and giving them space, I think, has been helpful to use some of those same strategies. And they too ask a lot of questions like kindergartners, so which I love.
Well, and I would agree with you. Even just listening to you share about your experience with your teaching, even of, you know, your passion to get other people to embrace the importance of teaching Black history every day. I don't think that you would be as powerful in doing that if you didn't have what I perceive as a very deep and touching understanding of what teachers go through and deal with. I think that makes you one of your greatest strengths for education.
Yeah, I agree. One of my undergrad students just wrote in their reflection about that. Like, we love that you were willing to share, you know, examples from your classroom. Like, and I think that's, what sets me apart, because I'm not like just up there telling them like, this is what you need to do as a teacher. I can be like, this is what I did and this is what happened. So, you know, these are some strategies you can use. And also just talking about the importance of community. Like, I try to build that in college classrooms too. You know, this is a community. We are all different people. All of our voices matter. And so I did very similar things with kindergartners. So yeah, it's definitely been very helpful to have that skill.
Well, and I can't remember if you said it here or if you said it on another episode of something that I was watching when I was learning more about you, is really, we're all just humans, right?
Yeah.
We're all people. And that's important. That's all we have to remember when it comes to teaching, you know?
Yeah. And kindergartners, though little, are just people trying to grow up in this world too.
Yeah. For sure. Mandi, I think I have room for one more question. What about you?
I can make it work.
All right. Downavyn, you don't get a choice.
I love it.
Your advisor and associate professor of social studies education,
LeGarrette King,
has said she adds tremendous value not only to GSE, the center, and me, but to the city of Buffalo and the country. What part of your work so far has made you the most proud?
Oh,
this is a good one to end with. The bull knows.
It is. That's so good. What makes me the most proud? I think what is it? I think what's made me the most proud is being able to enter into spaces where people appreciate and also like know my work. I think is really cool. Like, it really like shocks me as well. But it just makes me like really proud that people are willing to like listen and they talk about my book and they know a lot about it. But I'm just also proud of just the connections I've made here in Buffalo as well. Again, this is like a new space. I've never dreamed in a million years I'd be living in Buffalo, New York. at all. So it's just been really cool to see like the people I've met and the connections I've been making. And I have a favorite bookstore here. Like when I walk in, they're like, "Hi, Downavyn," and I'm like, "This is a dream come true." Like to walk into a bookstore and people know your name. Like this is so cool. So yeah, I think that's what I'm most proud of, and that my voice is being heard through my work too. That was always something I wanted to make sure was happening, that it didn't sound like somebody else was talking for me, that it's like me coming through. And so I'm also very proud of that as well. That was a really good question.
Thank you. And I think that, you know, I had that same experience as an author. I think it's really you kind of feel lucky, right, when you get a publisher that lets you write it the way you want to write it versus like trying to make your voice different. And I'm happy that you had that experience and that you feel that about your work.
Yes, absolutely. Love it. Shout
and
out
also,
to
like, how touching was it that was it he or she?
my editor?
Yeah, no, the LeGarrette.
Oh, LeGarrette, it's he, my advisor. Yeah, that's really sweet. I never know when people ask him questions about me. Like I learn it when I like read it. I'm like, that's very kind of him.
I was like, I read that. I was like,
yes, so sweet, so sweet. And it just always like helps to rejuvenate me to continue this work as well if he sees that. So it's really cool.
Sure. And that you are seen, and it really is seen as a valuable part of the community. That's awesome. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
So I'm Annabeth's going to zoom in on mine and Mandi's doodles, and then if you want to share yours, you can as well.
Hey.
It was funny because I was at a loss for some blank space, but then when the mom question came up, I was like, you kind of have a universe of things that are you know.
Oh, so
I like the bumblebee because I think I remember that reel when you were teaching kindergarten and you guys raised the bumblebees.
Yes. Oh, we were dissecting them. That was such a cool lesson.
See, now I think this has to be a pin now. Embrace.
Yes, it does. Embrace the Downavyn.
We need to get that
pass
made.
them out. Yeah, every time I meet someone, I'm like, here you go.
Oh, that would be so sweet.
Love that. Oh my gosh, so cute.
I still can't get over the sign language, Mandi.
So good. Oh, and the purple, that's my favorite color.
So we had that conversation 2 weeks ago. I think we had a guest, and whenever I am making my original image for that, it's whatever color I feel like fits. And so it was purple for you, and I'm so glad to hear that's your favorite color.
Yes. Well, this is mine. I drew this because it's like in memory of my kindergartners, and we learned how to draw him from Miss Haynes on YouTube when we learned about Jean-Michel Basquiat. And so I wanted to do this because each of my kindergarten classes learned about him and learned how to draw him. So I wanted to draw him.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was a really cool experience, but they all know how to draw him. So I thought I'd draw them in memory of teaching kindergarten.
And is the little dinosaur, is that part of him?
Yeah, we learned also, we read a book, Life Doesn't Frighten Me, with his art and Maya Angelou's poem and the dinosaurs on the front. And so we learned how to draw the dinosaur from the cover of that book too.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Life Doesn't Frighten Me. That sounds like a good one for the beginning of the year.
Yes, and we memorized it. Yes, it's good.
I just had to write down. Hold on a second, please.
I know.
Well, thank you so much for being part of Doodle and Chat this morning.
Oh, thank you. I loved every part of it. Thank you.
Oh, and we loved having you. Friends, if you were here with us and you doodled along with us as we talked all about Downavyn James, please snap a picture of your Doodle and Chat and share it out on your favorite social media platform using hashtag Doodle and Chat so we can share with everybody all the fun that we have here every Saturday morning at 9:33ish Central Standard Time. And then as I say that, Mandi and I are going to take a little bit of a break in June, kind of rejuvenate and replan some things for Doodle and Chat. So you can watch Instagram and Twitter for challenges. We're still going to put out some fun and unique doodle challenges in June. And then we'll see everybody back here the first Saturday in July for more Doodle and Chat fun. Thank
Bye,
you,
guys.
Thank you again. Everybody have a great weekend.